Scott, the Whitworth men's golf team, the spring season has gotten underway, and you've had a couple of tournaments already. Take us back through your season or spring opening tournament down in Southern California, and then this past week you had a fun opportunity to head west and play a different format against Pacific Lutheran.
Yeah, so we did something different this spring. We started, one of the big differences, I should say, to start with in NCAA golf, specifically D3, is instead of a week allotment, so a certain amount of weeks over the course of our split season of fall and spring that we can participate, it went to days. So the ability to start our season a little early. Before, I was always really cautious when to start our season because we might get snowed out for 3 weeks, but once it starts, it can't stop. So now with the days format, we took a chance and started our season a little bit earlier, even though we were in snow and barely above zero temperatures here in Spokane. We headed to Southern California and competed in a big field on a really nice golf course. We had very little expectations in terms of score or placing, just simply because we hadn't golfed outside other than a few rounds in the Tri-Cities. So we used it as a way to kind of get the rust off for the spring, get that competition under our belt, kind of see where our games were, and that would drive our practice then for the next several weeks before we got into the bulk of our season. So I'd say overall it was a great experience. It wasn't the warmest weather when we were there, but it was 2 degrees when we boarded the plane that day here in Spokane. So always nice to get out on the road with the guys and kind of kick things off. And then we had 3 weeks or so of just some practice and work. And then we were able to go over to the west side this last week and get a practice round in on the prestigious Seattle Golf Club, a private club there in Seattle. And then another treat was to compete in a one-day match play against, so a hole-by-hole competition, one of our guys versus one of their guys through 18 holes at Canterwood Country Club in Gig Harbor, which is also a kind of a historic golf course on the west side of the state. And so those 2 events kind of were a soft opening of our season, and now we'll hit the ground running with 5 tournaments over the next 6 weeks.
Catch everyone up on how the conference is decided and where you came out of the fall and what you need to do this spring.
Sure. Yeah, so this is the first year in a while that now the conference standings are an aggregate of strokes. So how many strokes you have after the 3 tournaments, the lowest stroke total between the 9 conference teams will be the conference champion, regardless of if you won any tournaments or not. So before it was, for every team you beat, you got a point. So we had kind of a rough fall classic, although we had a pretty successful fall season overall. So we're one conference event. We didn't play well, so we're several strokes behind first place. But the cool part is instead of having like 4 or 5 points in the old system, which would render you almost impossible to make up that point total, now that it's a stroke total, it's well within striking distance. We'll have to play very well, and that's kind of what we've been building towards. But we feel like we're very much in the hunt to make a run at winning the conference championship and getting an automatic bid to the Nationals.
You get a chance to see a bunch of conference teams this week when you go down to Salem to compete in a tournament that Willamette's hosting. What do you hope to take out of this week?
Yeah. So Creekside Golf Club there in Salem, one of my favorite courses going all the way back to my playing days here at Whitworth. Just a beautiful public golf course reminiscent of like a Latah Creek or a Liberty Lake here in town. Just a beautiful public golf course. I guess they call it kind of semi-private, but a great tournament venue. It's a place where we've had a tremendous amount of success. We've won several tournaments there in the last 3 or 4 years. Jacob Raleigh has an individual win there. So it's a strong field. Pomona Pitzer, a top 25 nationally ranked team, will be there. A few NAI schools, I think a community college that's nationally ranked will be there. And then from what I can remember, I think all of our conference schools. So it'll be a good test. Our expectations are to go and try to compete to win the tournament. We have several guys that could be in the hunt individually as well. And we're going to use this as, as a kind of a jump start to our bulk of our season. And always the expectation is to play hard and to have great attitude and effort. And, golf is a unique sport in that you can play great and someone else can still beat you. So our goal is to go there and shoot just some golf scores that'll put us in the mix after the second day to see if we can't win a tournament to kind of kick off our spring season.